Welcome back to God is Alive. My name is Serena, and here I speak all about what it truly means to have a personal relationship with God. We have faith every day that we'll wake up tomorrow, so I want to start a fire in your heart to stop chasing the temporary things of this world and to put that same faith in God. So let's learn about God and learn to lean on God, because what's the worst that could happen? Welcome back to God is Alive. My name is Serena, and today I'm speaking about how God always comes through. Okay, so before we really get into it, I just want to start this off by saying, and just being open and honest and saying, I struggle to read the Bible. There, I said it. It took me a long time to actually enjoy reading my Bible, and I'm convinced it's because I was reading it the wrong way. When I first truly started reading the Bible, I read it with the focus being, what can I get out of this? That's how I would read it. How is this going to help me today? What am I going to get from this? What lesson is God trying to teach me today? And I realize now, when I would open up my Bible with that mentality, I would almost miss the bigger picture. Because it's really about God, not us, not me. In every single book of the Bible, there is God. It's what God has done since humans were created, what God has done to save us, how he's been faithful to us, and how he has a plan for the future. The one constant between every single book of the Bible, hundreds of years apart, it's not you and me, it's God. And so there's a lot of things that we can take away, and there's a lot of lessons that we can learn and apply ourselves. But the main one being is who God is, how he works, and how he will always be faithful to us. And so I've learned now to rephrase my mind. Instead of thinking, okay, what can I take from this? How does this help me? I've learned to rephrase that into, God, what can I learn more about you today? Teach me to understand you and your ways. Help me grow closer to you, God. And it truly has. Let me just say, the God who created this world is so complex, and he made a very complex book. And so it's easy to be discouraged, especially when we have all of this entertaining, more stimulating things at our fingertips, if you get my drift, if you catch my drift. But when we spend time, when we actually allocate time out of our day to want to read his book, to want to understand his heart, his intention, it's going to take time. And sometimes the most rewarding things in life take time. They don't come instantly. So that being said, I have been reading in the book of Matthew. I don't know if you've listened to my past couple of podcasts. I mentioned the book of Matthew in like all of them because that's where I've decided to read again. So in Matthew chapter 4, Jesus leaves Nazareth and he withdraws, is that how you say that? Anyway, into Capernaum by the sea. It says specifically he withdrew into the territory of Zebulun and Naphtali, which I will get into. And so Matthew quotes Isaiah when Isaiah wrote Isaiah chapter 9, verse 1. Isaiah says, "The land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, the way of the sea beyond the Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles, the people dwelling in darkness have seen a great light. And for those dwelling in the region and shadow of death, on them a great light has dawned." And so here's what hit me when I read this. When Isaiah originally wrote this was 700 years before Jesus' time. And when Isaiah wrote, "The sea beyond the Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles," Galilee didn't even exist yet. So hear me out. Galilee is a region. And during Isaiah's time, the word Galilee didn't even exist yet. During Isaiah's time, the land of Galilee was known as the land of Zebulun and Naphtali. And if you didn't know, those were two of the northern tribes out of the 12 tribes of Israel. So Isaiah could have only have known about the word Galilee through divine revelation from God, because the name Galilee didn't even exist as an official region during Isaiah's time. And when we read that verse in Matthew, and when we read it in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 1, we're not even thinking about that. We're like, oh yeah, Galilee of the Gentiles. No, it didn't even exist yet. That's what makes it so amazing. It was during Isaiah's time that the Assyrians invaded this area, specifically 732 BC, which was during Isaiah's lifetime. And what the Assyrians did was they exiled many Israelites and they resettled the Gentiles there. This is, you can find this in 2 Kings chapter 15, verse 29. And this is why it became Galilee of the Gentiles, because of the Assyrian conquest. And this blew my mind, because if we think about this further, when Isaiah writes that the Galilee of Gentiles, the people there were living in darkness, he means that they were living in a spiritual darkness, that they had a lack of knowledge about God. These people, they were living in deep separation from God, caused by, sin, ignorance, oppression. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I look around and I go, God, where are you? What are you doing in my life? What are you doing in those around me? What are you doing in this world? What is your plan? And during Isaiah's time, the Assyrians were invading his land. They had no idea that the light that God was referring to was going to take 700 years to occur. And yet today, we are left waiting on this promise that Jesus is going to come back one day. And that one day he will wipe away every tear. And that one day we will be with him. And the truth is, God uses everything for the good of those who love him. What that means is he's going to take every mundane day of your life to teach you something, show you something, if you let him. And I'm just trying to imagine what Isaiah went through. He had hope that this light was going to come, even though he couldn't see it. He just had to trust. And it's so hard to trust, and it's so hard to be patient, and it's so hard to wait, and it's hard to not understand. We want to know our answers, we want to know what's going on, we want to know the plan, but the truth is we just have to trust that he has the plan, that he can see the full plan even if we don't. And in the same way that God knew that 700 years later, the land of Zebulun and Naphtali was going to be the Galilee of the Gentiles, he knows where you and I are going to be 700 years from now. And you know what he would tell us? Trust and be patient. It may not make sense now, but it will one day. So I really hope today I could share something that maybe you did not know. And I hope that I could give you a little bit of hope and trust in that plan that he has, because he truly does love us and he truly does want the best for us. Even if it feels like our world is crumbling, the place where you live could be crumbling, your job, your bills, your relationships, the people in your life, maybe it might feel like, what are you doing? This is all falling down. Where are you? Just know that he has a plan and he's going to use everything for good for those who love him. And so today's song of the day is Banks by Need to Breathe. This song is a very beautiful, heartfelt song about God. Kind of talks about how it says everybody needs a voice that they can follow. The lyrics of the song also say, and when you feel like you are not enough, I want to be there when the darkness closes in, to make the truth a little clearer. The song is basically written in God's perspective about us. How even if it feels like our wall is crashing down, he's going to remind us of his truth. And so thank you so much for tuning in to the very end of today's podcast. Let me know any song suggestions down below or any questions you may have. And I cannot wait to talk to you again next time.
That I'm